Rise from your grave.
Hello and welcome to Control Alt Record. My name is Chris, and with you for this episode is Brett and Grax. No Michael again, still don't know what he's doing, but whatever. In this episode, we're going to start off with our regular weekly news. We're actually going to talk about retro. You may have actually recognized that theme song and that iconic Rise from your grave. We're going to be talking a bit about retro games. We will also have the quiz in there, and a new survival game has recently hit Steam on the 1st of August, Rend. So we're going to have a chat about that. If you do like the show, please jump onto your iTunes or your respected Google, Android apps and give us a rating, give us a review. We really appreciate it. Also, jump onto Facebook. Just search for Control Alt Record and jump onto Twitter at CTRLALT Record. But that's out the way. Or what's our email address? CTRLALT Record@gmail.com. Also, send us some emails as well. We really love it when you get that.
Good job.
Yes, great start. Anyway, let's get into the show.
We are so getting sued for that intro, just saying.
Well, you know what? As we were talking before the show, if we do, then hey, publicity.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not making any money, so they're not going to get anything out of us.
Exactly.
So anyway, let's get into the show.
You're listening to Control Alt Record.
All right, so Fallout 76 is just around the corner. And if you haven't heard, it's not coming to Steam, which is, in my opinion, that's pretty shitty. I mean, every other Fallout's on Steam. So why this is, it's going to be a Bethesda.net exclusive, which is, I just think that's really stupid. So
who has Bethesda.net? Like, do you guys both have it?
I think I've got it.
I've got it, but only because of the Fallout 76 beta, because you needed it for the beta to punch in your code. But before that, I downloaded it once for what was the free Fallout game, Fallout Shelter. I downloaded it for that, and as soon as it went to Steam, I uninstalled it and got it off Steam.
So I think it looks like one of the main reasons behind Bethesda wanting to just avoid Steam now is that they want to go through their own Bethesda launcher, so they don't have to pay the Steam operator, Valve, its cut of the sales. That's obviously the main reason. Yeah, because Bethesda's short of money these days. They're pretty well off.
They're not doing well. They're going under.
Does anyone know how much that percentage is that Steam charge?
That would be a good question to ask, which I could probably look up.
Yeah. If you want to have a quick look, if you can quickly Google that while we chat about it.
I look at it and I just go, it's so fucking annoying. You've got Steam, you've got Origin, you've got Battle.net, and now we've got Bethesda.net, and you've got Uplay. Man.
The list goes on. And that was always the great thing about Steam, was just it consolidated all the games into one thing. Now,
so just a quick look online.
At least with Steam.
Sorry. So Steam, this is from Quora or whatever it's called. So we don't know if this is, but it could be approximately 30%, which is pretty significant. I mean, especially with you're talking a game like Fallout 76, which is going to be bringing in a lot of money for them. I can kind of understand it, but at the same time, them not having that sort of frontal real estate on the Steam store, how many people are not going to see the game and possibly not buy it?
That's what I was going to say. So, they save themselves however many percentage in fees to Valve, but how much are they losing in exposure by having to, people not, when you log into Steam and it pops up new sales and it force feeds you all the stuff that it knows you like to play. Like if you were living under a rock and didn't know about Fallout 76, the next time you logged into Steam after launch, you'd probably find out. But
I guess in a way, Steam has kind of, I wouldn't call it like a monopoly, but they do have a pretty good sort of stranglehold on PC gaming at the moment. But it's just convenient having everything in one spot. And I like to get all my games through Steam, so I just have my games list. And if I go to, look for something to play, I just have one program to open, so it's convenience as well.
Well, that's right.
Yeah, it's convenient, and also the majority of your Steam friends, you can see what they're playing. If you're not sure what you want to play, and you see your mate in another game, you go, "Oh, I'll go play that." But the thing I was going to say before about Steam that I like over all the other platforms so far I'm not sure. I don't believe any of them do this, but Steam does. Is you can play non-Steam games through Steam. I don't think any of the other ones do that.
No,
So
they don't.
people are going to buy Fallout 76 and just play it through Steam anyway.
I mean, is it potentially a possibility? It's just like a launch thing. So, are we just seeing this? So then, okay, Bethesda get their initial, full 100% of the sale. But then once the sales actually die down, maybe it'll actually hit Steam later on down the track. Maybe it's just one of those things that it's just not hitting the platform straight away.
Yeah, I actually didn't realize 30% is probably more than I expected it to be. I was thinking it'd be like 10, 20%.
It's set up to. I suppose it depends on what the title is, whether it's indie, whether it's AAA, all that kind of stuff. But there'd be a sliding scale as to
it says detail. It says it's done differently for every game, so it's probably based on the amount of sales they get. I can imagine probably some of the indie games would probably get slugged a higher rate just because they're.
Do you reckon?
Yeah, definitely.
I would have thought it'd be around the other way.
I mean, see, that's what I was thinking as well. You'd find something like Bethesda would probably have. It depends what, I guess at the end of the day, the business ethics are of Valve and using Steam. So, they could turn around to Bethesda and go, who's got the more leverage? Is Bethesda turn around going, well, no, not 30%. It's going to be 10% or 15%.
Well, maybe that's
blah,
the problem.
blah, blah.
Maybe they couldn't agree on a rate.
Actually,
maybe.
You know what? That's maybe why they're on Bethesda Net, because they might have done that and said, "Hey, we're not going to pay you 30%. We'll give you 5%." And Valve have gone, "No, fuck off," and they've gone, "All right, we'll just release it ourselves."
Could have been
potentially what could have happened.
But I think Valve do, on the face of it, seem to be about indie development. When you look at their greenlight programs and things like that, maybe, I would have thought that they would slug someone like Bethesda with the higher percentage rate. So with the indie developers to actually encourage people to get on there. Look, it
doesn't make sense financially because the bigger companies are going to run a lot more money through them. So it makes more sense that they would have a lower rate because say they're like, well, we're going to sell, I don't know what games, say they're going to sell 100 million. If they're taking 30% of that.
Of course. Versus like an indie game which makes like 10 grand. You know what I mean? They're going to want to, for their effort, they're going to want to charge them a higher rate. And they also have more, clout. Like the bigger companies like Bethesda can go, well, we want a lower rate. And they would negotiate a lot harder than someone like an indie developer would, because like an indie developer, if they don't get on Steam, their game doesn't get seen by anyone. Whereas Bethesda can get away with stuff like this because they have a... Well, exactly. I guess that's what I'm saying. It really comes down to the ins and outs of how Valve run the Steam platform. It could be completely wrong. They could go, no, you're the indie developer, you're 30% because I'm only going to make a couple of grand off you, versus then Bethesda going, or make
could be
tons of money.
If there's anybody out there that's actually listening to the podcast that knows the answer, please drop us an email or comment on Facebook or something if you guys know the answer, or if you're a developer that's been slugged by Valve or quite the opposite, had a good deal. Let us know.
But it's definitely with Steam, they also will be handling all the sort of customer service side of things, and they get to go on their platform and all the advertising and bits and pieces. So it's interesting. They've obviously made the decision. Well, if we can save 30%, even though we might sell less copies, it's still going to be financially beneficial.
They would have had to have waited up because they had Fallout 4 on Steam, so they'd be looking at how much it costs them to have that on Steam versus how much they're gonna lose.
I feel like what Chris was saying. They think, well, everyone who knows about the game is going to buy it. They're going to buy it anyway, regardless of if it's on Steam. Like, obviously, we're all going to buy it, right? Or you already have.
Yeah, of course.
We're going to buy it. Doesn't matter if it's on Steam.
Yeah.
Maybe in 6 months, then they put it on and they can do the advertising and sell to people, who might not have bought it, and they see it on Steam and then buy it. So. Because they've got Fallout has such a big fan base already, they might feel that they don't need Steam's advertising platform initially. Rather than just right from the start giving them the full 30%. So.
I think
they've been marketing the crap out of it. Like they had that month and a half ago now, they had that promotion out at Bondi Beach where they had the Fallout bus shelter all marked up as a Fallout advertisement, and had a big promotion there on I think it was a Saturday morning.
Did you go to that?
I wanted to, but I was working, unfortunately. I had planned to go, but damn it.
I wonder how many people they got for that event.
There was a picture on their Facebook page. I think it was reasonable for a Saturday morning in Bondi. Like, people
76 people showed up.
Saturday morning would have just went anyway. What's going on up there? Free food. All right.
So one thing I also want to sort of bring up, if listeners, and if we were to say to you, BNet, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? To me, if you Google, we've already tested this. If you Google BNet, what's the first thing that comes up? Blizzard. Battle.net.
Battle.net.
Definitely in your mind, it would be.
Oh, it is in my mind, and it's in Google's as well. We tested this before the show. So if I said to you, BNet,
Chris has got a Battle.net tattoo, Blizzard tattoo.
No, I'm not that silly. I mean, I'm past. I'm in my 30s now. I'm not silly enough to do that.
His wife said no.
But no. So yeah. So if you Google BNet, and any gamer probably here's that term BNet, you're going to think Battle.net. Now this guy, Peter Hines, on Twitter at DC Deacon, he is actually the Senior Vice President of Global Marketing and Comms at Bethesda. Decided to tweet about Bethesda Fallout 76 being exclusive to BNet. I'm like, well, that to me, if you're the Senior Vice President of Global Marketing and you're saying it's exclusive to BNet, I'm going to go straight to the Blizzard launcher going, where's Fallout 76?
Where's my game?
If you're marketing this, I think you fucked up. Like you fucked that up. I'm sorry.
It's like one of those things they're trying to make it a shortcut for Bethesda.net, but it's just not going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, go for BethNet if you have to, but not BNet.
BethNet doesn't sound good.
No, it doesn't. There's nothing they can do. Like
BethNet sounds like like a bunch of girls that all chat about clothes and stuff. BethNet.
Yeah, that does actually, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Methnet.
Methnet. That's something else.
So, but that's the thing. Yeah. So that was a tweet by Pete Hines, Senior Vice President of Global Marketing. It's exclusive to BNet.
So
You fucked up, Pete Hines.
You fucked that up. Literally,
not only have they dissed the number one games platform being Steam, they've also dissed Battle.net, which is probably
they're just like none of these.
or number three.
They just in their mind, Bethesda.net is number one. And
exactly.
That's it.
But if you're
Well, it's
marketing,
definitely number one in their office.
if I go, I don't know what BNet is. Like if I'm, 9 or whatever age people come into
You could
gaming these
Google
days, and I go, it's on BNet. All right, Google BNet, and Blizzard comes up.
Yeah.
You know,
Then you download it. You're
I'm
like, why can't I find the fucking game?
Where is it?
I bet you that some people, I bet you what happens, that Blizzard will get some emails saying, or Activision actually, isn't it? Why isn't Fallout 76 on your
Exactly.
website?
So literally, I have just Googled BNet, and the first thing that comes up is Blizzard Entertainment. Then there is the second thing down is BNet Wikipedia.
Yeah.
It's an online magazine dedicated to issues of business management.
And we're looking down the whole page. You know what doesn't come up?
Bethesda.net even on the front
Bethesda.net
page.
doesn't even come up.
Bethesda.net even on the front page.
Look on page 2. Look on page 2.
Page 2? Let's go to page
Go
2.
on page 2.
So before we do, so you can't even get you can't even get behind Blizzard on a Google search because the second thing that comes up is issues about business management. You can't even beat that. I mean,
Maybe Pete Hines needs to sort out
All
his
right.
issues with business.
So we're on to the second
Now
page.
there's Bridgestone.net.
There's fellowships in education, BNet LinkedIn. That's on
What's that
LinkedIn.
one down the bottom?
Hey BNet, that one.
Hey, BNet,
I'd rather you didn't call me a whore.
Yeah. I mean, I think we made a point.
Okay, I think the point has been made.
BNet is not Bethesda.net. Fuck off.
No, it is
It's about
not.
to play.
Let's just close that one.
Chris is
Look,
trying to do two
Look,
things.
in his defense, I'm looking at the tweet. It was at 7:58 a.m. Perhaps he just got to work and hadn't had his coffee.
I was going to say he's probably drunk.
I'm sorry, but if you're the senior
He's
vice
hungover
president,
from the night before and hadn't had coffee.
Yeah.
if you're a senior
that's
vice
all-
president of
that's
a
all I can
global organization and the global marketing team, I don't think you're getting paid the big bucks. You should not. It should not matter what time of the day it is.
I think he should get the death
Oh,
penalty.
I agree. I
Death
think he needs to be looking for a new job.
So while we're also on the topic of, a publisher not bringing their games to a particular platform, Bethesda not bringing Fallout 76 to Steam, Fortnite is coming to Android, but it's not coming to the Google Play Store. Once again, this is another way of reducing or continuing to increase the cost or the sale of Fortnite. Well, actually, I think Fortnite will be a free game, but all the microtransaction stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's not coming to Google Play.
Yep.
Which is...
This is a bit more like other people have not put their games on Steam before. That's quite common, but this is pretty unprecedented.
Yeah.
pretty much if you go to get an app for your phone, your Android phone, you go to the Google Play Store. You don't even really think about any other.
I wouldn't actually have a clue how to
Well,
download
not
an
unless
app.
you're
without the
not
Google
unless
Play.
you're ROMing your phone or something, or jailbreaking it or whatever.
Yeah, it's not jailbreaking, but it's like you have to basically sideload it. So you would basically go to their website and download really an unsecured file.
Too much effort.
And just install it. And you don't really know, because it doesn't have
What's in there.
Google's sort of like they have a lot of security things that has to run through. So you could be installing it and giving them all sorts of permissions that you don't even know. And you know,
that's
the
right.
next thing, your phone's got like 10 viruses on it because it's basically got some sort of backdoor access
Or
or
because
something
you
on there.
didn't read the terms and conditions. I saw that South Park episode.
Yeah, but
with
even
Apple.
not even the terms and conditions. Like the guys that make Fortnite could be completely just trying to keep their money and stuff. But
Yeah,
it's a
so-
free game, so how good is their security? Like someone else could hack it.
Well, this
and
is the same thing.
make it
So
their bitch.
they don't want to give. Obviously, with Fortnite, it's all about the microtransactions in the game, but they don't want to give that. Yeah, they don't want to give that 30%
to Google.
They actually, what does it say there, Chris? So
Don't know, it's a pretty big TV.
yeah, 30%. Well, I thought you might want to read it since you're the host, but I suppose
Okay, which part are you looking at?
30% is disproportionate to the cost of the services these stores perform, such as payment processing, download bandwidth, and customer service. We're intimately familiar with these costs from our experience. Oh, so they're saying they know what it costs to run the thing. But the thing is, if you're like, okay, I want to get an app, I want to get a new game on your phone, you go to the Google Play Store. It's not even like, you don't even think about it. So I feel like they fucked up there.
Yeah, I think
Seems
that's
crazy.
silly. Like,
I'd say they have, but the other thing, like I don't play Fallout, but my kids do
Fortnite.
occasionally,
Fortnite.
and it's a whole go
You said
to
Fallout.
their website and
He
sign
plays
up for
Fallout.
the thing anyway.
What's that?
So maybe if they're advertising it through their website anyway, people go there they've got to go there to download the game in the client anyway because it's free. So perhaps as part of that process, they're going to advertise it that way and say, oh, hey, you can get it on
Oh, I'm sure they are. Yeah.
Android here. So they might not actually lose a lot of stuff that way because you've got to have the Fortnite account already.
Yeah.
But to be fair, if I'm going to want to download a game on my phone, I'm not going to go to your website. I don't care what it says. I'm going to go to the Google Play Store.
I wouldn't,
100%,
honestly, I
yeah.
wouldn't feel comfortable
Well, you're
downloading
not.
something outside of
You're
Google Play Store.
not, but kids obviously don't care. Well, they either don't know about viruses or they don't care, or they're on mum and dad's phone and they're not knowing and all that kind of crap.
I think
Same
they
issues that we
will.
talked about with
I
Fallout
think they'll
before.
probably.
Fortnite. I keep saying
reckon-
Fallout. Bloody hell.
I think they.
I got Fallout in front of me. I need to shut it.
I think they will backflip on this. Probably, they'll realize they've made a mistake when their sales aren't
like-
anywhere near as high as they
Yeah,
think.
because I guess at the end of the day, 30% on the tax that they're going to lose. That's going to the Google Play Store or the funds that go to the Google. Once they realize that they're actually not selling as much as they normally would, of course they're going to quickly backflip on that.
Because obviously, like Fortnite is going to have, like, if it comes onto the Google Play Store, it's going to be right there on the front page. And how many downloads is that going to get them? It's going to be fucking.
it'll be number one.
Well, think of how many people have Android. It's like billions of phones, like
Yeah.
literally billions of phones have the Google Play Store, so they're not going to have that exposure. And I think it would make it.
And they're relying on people to go straight to the website.
Yeah.
No, people are lazy. You need to be able to. The only way to increase your sales is to somehow have it download to the phone without the user even pushing a button.
Yeah.
like that's people are lazy.
They are. It's like me. Like
I'm lazy.
I'm lazy.
I'm not
like
going there.
if someone's like, watch this TV show, I'm like, is it on Netflix? No. I'm like, I'm not watching it. I can't be bothered downloading it. It's the same kind of thing. I just want it as easy as possible, please.
So, Grax, you're a Star Wars fan, aren't you?
Not guilty. Absolutely, Star Wars.
You are a Star Wars fan. So Patrick Stewart is coming back to play Jean-Luc Picard. I'm trying to piss people off right now.
Fuck you.
Brett's
We've
just like,
just lost half our listeners.
I know.
Trying to
Brett-
say he's coming back to play Darth Vader.
Brett's trying to very comfortably drink his whiskey over there. No, Star Trek. Okay, Patrick Stewart is coming back to play Jean-Luc Picard again in the series for CBS. Now he I guess is known for the Next Generation sort of franchise or era of Star Trek. Look, to be honest, whenever I watch Star Trek, I'm more of the movie Star Trek, not the TV show Star
Next
Trek.
Generation's awesome. It was so good.
I remember watching it as a kid, but
I watched them. I went through and started watching them again last year, and I watched I think I watched 4 seasons of it. It's still good. It holds up.
I'd like to give it a rewatch. It's been a while since I've partaken in the
and it's cool.
Star Trek.
But how old is Patrick Stewart?
Oh, he's got to be pretty old.
Is he? I think
Isn't he a knight? Isn't he Sir Patrick Stewart? Didn't he get
Probably
knighted?
by now. I wouldn't be surprised. He's British and he's famous.
But the Star Trek, the new one, is set in like a prequel, as far as I know.
What do
really?
you mean the new one?
Well, you know the new one that's on Netflix, Star
The
Trek
Netflix one?
Discovery. Is that what it's called?
Discovery?
Oh, that
Yeah,
one.
I've only watched a couple of episodes.
Oh, was that a prequel? Is it?
It's early, but apparently the next season is going to be after the Next Generation, so it's going to be further on, you know.
Right,
So which is
okay.
kind of cool.
All right.
I just wanted to look up how old Patrick Stewart is.
Well, you go ahead and do that. I mean, I mean, he's got to be pretty old. He's got to be in his 70s.
He's 78.
Oh, okay. I was going to say
Pushing-
70, 80.
pushing
So
80.
But he's still ticking along.
Hasn't aged that much, to be honest.
Sir Patrick Stewart. Yes.
Well,
There you go.
But I mean, what direction are they going to take with old man?
I thought he'd be like an admiral by now.
He's probably back on like Starfleet, wouldn't he? Not actually on the ship.
Yeah, that's what
Surely
I
he'd
thought.
be in charge of Starfleet.
Does it actually say, is he going to be a captain and is he going to be like, because he's just going to be like a cameo?
He'll be a
Type-
cameo.
Actually, I
This-
think he said like I saw his Facebook post. I don't think he said captain. He just said Jean-Luc Picard. So
Yeah, is that what it
perhaps
says? We've got an article here in
there'd
front
be
of
a
us.
rank change
Just
or
scroll
something.
up. Does that say? Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. So he's just going to be. Yeah. So I reckon he'll just be a.
He'll be a cameo.
He'll be like an admiral.
He's an
and-
advertising grab.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, look, Patrick Stewart's back. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. And then he does what Chris Hemsworth did in the first Star Trek with Chris Pine and dies in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah. I hope he doesn't.
No,
I'll be
I don't want him to
devastated.
die.
Fuck that. I would never watch it again. As long as they.
Maybe they do an X-Men crossover and he's really Professor X.
No, yeah, he's actually Professor X with like dementia and like losing his mind.
It'd be cool if he was the lead.
Yeah, and Star Trek was all happening in his head.
Yeah, Star Trek was never a thing. It was just like a fantasy world in his mind. So there you go. If you are a friend,
If you're a friend, if you're a friend of Star
if you're a
Friend of
friend
Sir
of
Patrick.
Star
If you're a
Trek.
friend of Jean-Luc Picard, then you should go to a mental asylum.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. So the next piece. Anyone fan of Tekken? I used to enjoy Tekken.
Not really.
I
Really?
like Tekken.
Not really. Tekken was good.
I
It was
haven't played it for a long time, but I did enjoy Tekken.
It was actually the first game that I played when the original PlayStation came out. We'd go down to the local video store. Don't know if maybe there might be anyone under the age of
hire 'em.
25. Don't know what a video store is. I actually hired one. That was what got me into the PlayStation. But Tekken has announced a new character coming with, I believe, their Season 2 pass. Anyone here a fan of The Walking Dead?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I watched it. I got up to season 7, and it was a struggle. It was a slog for me. Everyone keeps saying stick with it, and like, yeah, I wouldn't say I'm a massive fan, but I pushed through it.
Well, that's the thing. I watched The Walking Dead up until about season 6, season 7. And after that, I was someone who just fell off the bandwagon. I was like, no, this is rubbish. I'm over it. But anyway, one thing that in that particular season that I was actually quite a fan of was the villain, Negan. And he's actually coming a character. He'll be a character for Tekken 7 as part of the new season. So recently at
With his baseball bat?
Well, that's what the pictures they're showing. The pictures on online right now. You're seeing Negan with his bat. Lucille, I think that was the name. I could be completely wrong, so don't shoot me if I am. I'm pretty sure they
yeah, I
named
think
his
that's-
bat
I think
Lucille.
that's right.
He was a good villain, and but I don't know what he's going to be like really. I mean, in Tekken, it's just going to be a guy swinging a baseball bat at the end of the day. But recently, Evo.
Cheating a little bit. Like, do they usually have weapons in? I don't. I don't think I've ever played Tekken. So, do they? They usually have weapons. Do they?
Well,
Yoshimitsu has his sword.
he's got his ninja sword or
right.
whatever.
It's like UFC game and like bringing a crowbar.
So recently, Evo 2018. Now, Evo is a tournament that sort of generally based around sort of those sort of Street Fighter, Tekken sort of fighting games, has wrapped up, and they've teased that there is 6 new characters coming in Season 2 of Tekken 7, one of them being the character Negan. So kind of cool. If you're a fan of Walking Dead, you're a fan of Tekken, you've got that to look forward to. At this point, it's coming soon. We don't know when that will be, but we'll keep an eye on that and let you know if you are a fan of those two. But I don't know, I thought it was kind of cool because I liked Tekken originally. And I also enjoyed The Walking Dead, and I thought Negan was actually a very cool, very evil villain. He was someone that just made you like think, I would not want to fuck with you.
I don't know if
sure.
this is newsworthy. Really.
I don't know. It could be if you like the two. It's not always about you, Brett. We've got listeners that might like the two and kind of go, I didn't realize that.
Enough.
That's the point in news.
Yeah. It's
all
a
right.
mashup.
So
Walking Tekken.
Now, online at the moment.
Tekken Dead. Yeah.
Tekken Dead, Walking Tekken.
Deadkin? Is that what you're going for?
Deadkin.
Is that what you're going for?
Deadkin 7.
I like Deadkin.
All right, so online there is a particular YouTube video that's been going around IGN. There's a game actually just released. It's actually been in early access for a while. It released 2017, but came out officially out of early access and officially launched today. Or it says the 7th of August, but that's probably then tomorrow for us, 7th being the US time, I would maybe assume. But that'll be coming out of Steam. It's a game called Dead Cells. Now, there's a particular video going around at the moment of a guy on YouTube who has reviewed it and has put a side-by-side comparison of his review and IGN's review. And he's sort of saying, they've copied my review, what do I do, blah, blah, blah. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to be quiet. I'm going to play a bit of that video for you and see what you think. Listen, the first bit that you're going to hear is his review, and then you'll hear the voice change, and that'll be the IGN reviewer. So we're going to play a little bit of that, see what your thoughts are. So ready? 3, 2, 1, here we go.
Dead Cells takes the progression of a Metroidvania and integrates it into this procedurally generated action roguelike that has you slowly chipping away at its steep difficulty.
It takes the progression system of a Metroidvania and transforms it into a procedurally generated action roguelike.
Okay, not that.
All right, so let's pause it there for 2 seconds. So you would have heard the voice change there. The first voice was the YouTuber itself, and the second one being the IGN.
Can you turn the volume up on that a little bit, Chris? Or is that maxed out?
Yeah, no, it's not maxed out. I could turn that up a little bit. Now, he's kind of going, well, I guess we could probably play a little bit more, but to be honest, if he's going to claim, they're copying me,
play a little bit more.
Well,
let's hear a bit more.
Let's play a little bit more. All right, so we'll go back to it.
Not that similar, some similarities. Let's proceed. In Dead Cells, you'll need to kill your way through a labyrinth of levels, all punctuated by boss encounters that starts off quite linear, but the more you play, the more routes and game mechanics will open up to you.
In Dead Cells, you fight your way through an ever-changing labyrinth of levels with branching paths.
You might not be able to make it to the final boss on your current run, but if you can manage to salvage some blueprints for some new gear, or better yet, an ability-altering rune, it makes it all worth your while even if you can see your death just around the corner. This is the type of roguelike that, yeah, sure, you could beat the boss on your first attempt, but you're probably not going to and you're not supposed to. Let's stop there, let's see what Philip has to say next.
You're almost guaranteed not to make it all the way through on every run, but as your efforts lead you to blueprints that unlock new gear, it makes it all worth your while.
Okay, switch over to me. In most games of this genre, your coolest skills and spells are often set to strictly long recharge timers or a limited mana system. But in Dead Cells, your abilities have incredibly quick recharges and allow you to seamlessly integrate these gadgets into normal encounters, and it doesn't make you feel penalized for using your cool stuff.
Most games limit your most useful skills with long cooldown timers or a limited mana system, but Dead Cells encourages you to use your deadliest gadgets with a fast recharge timer. It never punishes you for using your best tactics.
Okay, this is one of my favorites.
Can you pause it quickly?
All right, we'll pause it there. So that's about halfway through the video.
Just I don't think that's a copy. I think he's just like, although it's like the structure of it is like, is kind of similar.
Now, the only thing that's like a big difference is this particular YouTuber has a lot more dialogue. IGN's more to the point, so he seems to be rambling on.
The IGN guy uses bigger words. But before you get to your punchline with where you're going with this, I was going to say, when I watched the whole thing, and I looked at it and I went, you know what? He's got a claim. Like there are some pretty blatant copying parts, especially towards the end of the video. There's some almost word for word.
Can you
copying,
go maybe go towards the end? We haven't listened to the whole thing.
I mean, that's about halfway through, but
it goes for a while though. Like,
this video goes for about 4 and a bit minutes, and we're about halfway through now. So, but look, I mean, initially, now we will go to the end. We'll see if we can find
blatant bits.
Yeah, that's the thing. Because so far, about halfway through in this video, I'm going, they've copied me. I can go to Wikipedia and probably recite exactly what IGN and this guy has said. So, for example, I had it up here before. So, what is Dead Cells? Dead Cells is a roguelike Castlevania-inspired action platformer allowing you to explore a sprawling, ever-changing... Well, that's the game. You've got two people saying the same thing. It's like going outside and going, the sky is blue. And then another person going out, today, the sky is blue. Oh, no shit. It's this.
Yeah. Unless he's just talking about the structure, because it does sound like each sort of bit they're saying, which would be like a paragraph in a review, is like the same. They're talking about the same thing.
The videos are definitely structured the same.
But that's the thing. To kind of go, for both people to say, and you will acquire skills and abilities, and the idea is you will not beat this boss, you're meant to learn. That's what you're meant to do. So if you've got multiple reviewers saying the same thing, it's like, just because you got your video out first doesn't mean...
It's a game mechanic. Yeah.
That's the game. That's how it's designed.
Can you play a little bit more towards the end on this? I want to hear the blatant.
So we'll just kind of skip ahead.
You can find a bit.
So we'll just skip ahead about sort of 30 to
During
40
extended
seconds.
play sessions.
The enemy designs here are interesting and fun to fight, but in the first level alone, you'll probably have killed the same enemy about 50 times already, and that same enemy will be used throughout various levels.
While early level enemies are a good introduction and make for fun and interesting fights early on, you can only kill so many zombies before it starts feeling a little stale.
The game does, however, encourage you to rush through repeat areas by having timed gates that lock after a certain amount of time has passed, and if you're playing like a speedrunner, you'll be rewarded, and this helps alleviate some of that repetition I mentioned.
Speedrunning is not only encouraged, but it's embedded as its own game mechanic. Almost every level has a door that will unlock after a certain amount of time elapses.
Alright, and
Cool.
So they've copied the structure, because
but that's the structure of the game.
Yeah, but would it necessarily, if you're to write a review, it shouldn't come out each part you're talking about is the same as someone else's. They should talk about it in different order.
Yeah, if you've broken
that.
up your review into 10 different sections about mechanics, sound, blah, 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 and then someone else does the same review on the same game and breaks it up into
close.
10 things about mechanics, sound, and gameplay, they may not have exactly copied it, and they both might be reading from the wiki.
It sounds like it does.
The structure's definitely...
It does sound a little bit like, if a high school student goes to the Wikipedia page and then summarizes it.
But isn't that what he did?
Well, I don't...
That's what they've both done.
Well, not really, because in the wiki, there was only one paragraph. There wasn't the whole thing.
No.
So we should say that as well, this guy's claim that he's been copied is because his video was up first. I don't have it open in front of me, Chris, but you could... He was in August or something.
He was like a week before.
There's a week gap between him and the IGN one.
Yeah, so there is a week gap because our IGN's put theirs up, I guess, in line with the release of it, and his was a week. Because this is actually a game on Steam that was released in 2017 as early access, and like I said, the release is only coming up in the next sort of day or so, depending on where you are in the world. But for a lot of it, to me, it sort of felt that they were describing the game mechanics. Yes, it's designed to be a speed running game. Yes, you're going to die. If you actually go
But it's all in the same, I'm assuming unless he's cut it up, it sounds like it's all in the same order. He's just taken his... it does sound like he's taken his review and just sort of paraphrased it and just summarized it.
It very much sounds like the order that they're talking about is the same.
Yeah.
But what they're talking about is the game. So
I get that. But that's if you copied it exactly, it's still going to be the game. But if you were to come up, if me and you were to write a review each of that game, we wouldn't end up talking about it in exactly the same way and talk about every paragraph in the correct or in the same order. It wouldn't happen that way. It would come out different. Because it's original. The chance of that happening is pretty small.
Okay, that's a fair point.
Because you focus on different things that appeal to your playstyle too. We'd all review the same game from different angles for sure.
I mean, they've obviously got they'd probably have a sort of structure they work with for reviews, but it just, yeah.
Well, don't know. Look, leave it up to the listeners. We wanted to bring this to your attention. There is a little bit more.
The full thing's on YouTube if you want to listen to the whole thing.
At the very least, we've worked out why most of IGN's reviews suck, because they're clearly just reading other people's shit.
Well, to be fair, I mean, I've picked up Dead Cells myself. I did buy it. I've started playing it, and there's a lot of references to Dead Cells being very similar to Dark Souls as well, in terms of the punishment of it. One thing that I don't want to give my own sort of finalized opinion and say, hey, go buy this game, because I definitely still want to play it a lot more before I give that. But the little bit that I have played, the idea behind it is, let's maybe have a quick chat about what the game is about. You've heard a little bit already. It's that 2D sort of Castlevania roguelike game. And one thing that is quite cool about it is whenever you start a level, your weapons that you run across and you collect and you find, you can actually pick them up on the spot and you use them until you die. If you die, anything that's in your inventory, you lose everything.
Yeah, so it's roguelike.
Yeah. So, but it is very fast paced. The idea is you collect dead cells, these blue floating orbs, that you want to get to the end of the level, and then trade those in to actually increase your strength. So the whole point of it is you learn from your previous mistakes, you die, and then you push past where you died before to live to get to the end, to continue to grow stronger and stronger and stronger, blah, blah, blah. Huge amount of weapons in it, which is very cool. Huge amount of abilities. There's so much to learn. There's a lot of passive abilities and things like that. It's quite interesting. Like I said, I'm still very early on in the game at the moment before I want to sort of say, what it is like. IGN gave it a 9.4 out of 10 or a 9.7. So they did
take that with a grain of salt.
Take that with a grain of salt, because look, they thought Call of Duty
that was a
9 out of 10.
9.3.
9.3 out of 10. And they didn't even have a single player campaign. Is it? I think that. Well, actually,
no,
they haven't done
it has a single player campaign, but it's just...
No, Black Ops, the new one. Actually, they haven't done that yet because it hasn't come out yet. So the last one, last Call of Duty. Sorry. Anyway, take IGN's reviews with a grain of salt. It is quite cool. It's very fast paced, and as you actually get to learn the game, there's a lot of dodging. There's a lot of rolling about. There's jumping. There's double jumping, and once certain weapons have different ways of attacking, which as you learn the game, you become faster and faster and faster. So it's not all that expensive on Steam currently. So I think it was about $30, I want to say. Let me just quickly double check that for you. But for some reason, my screen's locking up. So that's great. Awesome.
People can look up themselves.
Yeah, look it up yourself. You're more than capable human beings. But it's not a full price AAA.
$19.99.
$19.99. There you go. US, I'm assuming. So go check it out. It's quite interesting, and it's getting a lot of good reviews. So I think that might be it. That was a very long news segment.
Yeah, it was like
that was about half an hour long.
37 minutes in.
37 minutes in. I hope you enjoyed the show. We'll catch you next week. No. All right. So, look, you may have noticed at the very start of the episode, the little jingle that we started with was a bit of a throwback to Altered Beast. Altered Beast is turning 30 in August. So we don't actually know what specific date in August. Like if you Google Altered Beast, it just says August 1988 was when it was released. So we just say August, you turn 30, happy birthday to Altered Beast. And that was the Rise from Your Grave intro song.
Yeah.
Now, when we did sort of realize that it was the 30th birthday of Altered Beast, it made us feel made me feel a little nostalgic.
Made me feel old as fuck.
Made me feel old at the same time.
Yeah, that's it. It makes me feel old.
Yeah.
But since we felt that way, we want to make you feel that way. Well, I want to make you feel that way if you're listening. I want you to feel old just like us. What were some of the games? What were some of the games, Brett and Grax? What got you into gaming? What was your first game that you guys remember? I, for one, remember Super Hang-On. Was a motorbike racing
Super
game.
Hang-On?
So, actually, no. Super Hang-On and Altered Beast were same time were my first purchase games.
Altered Beast was one of my first ones, but I had an original Nintendo with like the original Mario Brothers on there. So that was probably. Oh no, actually, it'd be my favorite game from that console would be Battletoads. On the original Nintendo. Great
the
game.
dreaded level on the
I could only do 3 levels in the game
Yep.
and you would die, but it was like really good co-op.
What-
And you could just we used to just play them over and over again.
I used to get fed up with
I'm a-
Battletoads. Oh, you go,
I'm a
Grace.
whole gaming generation in front of you or behind you, in front of you guys.
You're not
So
behind.
like before the Sega and the
yeah, you're like,
the
what's this
Nintendo.
newfangled
I
technology?
was like Commodore 64.
God.
So I had Altered Beast on the Commodore 64.
I didn't
had
know it was
Wonder
on
Boy, Wonder Boy was on the Sega as well, which Sega games. So
So can I just say for people listening,
the Last Ninja series,
for young
Golden
people
Axe.
listening, to load up a game on the Commodore 64, you used to have to put a tape like into the Commodore 64
Yeah.
and then like run the tape, and it would run for like 10 minutes or something, or 20 minutes.
Hey, the kids these days even know what a tape is, man.
Okay, so yeah, I don't know. It's like
Google cassette.
look up a cassette.
CASSETT.
And yeah, so you would put that in, and how long would it take to load though, Grax? I mean, I can't even remember. It was ages.
Some games.
I remember we would put it in and load it and
15
then
minutes
leave.
maybe,
Yeah,
something
you would
like
go
that.
away and it would sort of,
But,
all these colours would come on the
I was
screen.
one of the first kids on my street to get a hard drive for my Commodore 64.
Jesus.
A disk drive.
High tech.
So that was pretty cool. It made
with
the
that-
games load 5 minutes quicker.
5 minutes. Yeah, load in 10 minutes instead of 15.
So Altered Beast takes 10 minutes. You used to just go outside and play while you waited for the game to load. And then games like Last Ninja that had multiple stages that, you'd play through the stage and then it'd have to load again. So you'd have to press play on tape or flip the tape over or what. Oh, man. Those were the days.
Brutal. Nintendo really, when they brought the cartridges in, that was like, I'm assuming was Nintendo the first cartridge?
Probably.
Yeah, I
No,
feel like
Commodore
that.
64 had cartridges.
Okay,
Commodore
but
64
before
had cartridges in the back.
1985? Getting a bit technical here.
I can Google it.
Just being able to put that cartridge in, bang, you're away.
See, I
That was a
never
big
had
thing.
a
Yeah.
Commodore 64. For
Yeah.
my first,
Yeah, the Commodore always had a cartridge slot. It came with one from the very beginning.
to put your tapes into.
No, for cartridges.
So it had
you used to
cartridges
be able to
and
get
tapes.
some games. There was like Wizard of War and Star Ranger and stuff
So
like that.
I
that
never
you
had
could
a
get on
Commodore
cartridge.
64. So you're saying that initially that you needed a tape to warm it up? What was the tape for?
The tape had the data
No,
on
so
there.
The,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
games came on tape.
So say you had like
On
some
cassette.
data and the cassette would just run for a while.
Okay.
And like it would take all the information off.
But they also had. Are you saying? But they also had. It came with cartridges.
I don't remember it having cartridge.
It
like,
had a
did
cartridge
they
slot in the
future-proof
back,
it?
but there were very few games. There weren't many games that you could get on cartridge.
So-
primarily they came on cassette.
So at a time
And then later,
where
yes.
video games were brand new, like they're still, well, not brand new, like they've been around a couple of decades by that point, but still were a technology that were like, oh, is this ever going to sort of take off? Blah, blah, blah. The Commodore 64 came out with, you had to use tape to play your game or, transfer the data, whatever it is, the information, but also had an area to accommodate cartridges, even though cartridges hadn't
Yes.
been thought of yet. So they were sort of future-proofing their device because they knew cartridges were coming next.
No, it came with cartridges. So I think when you bought the Commodore 64, you'd get one or two games.
Why didn't they just put everything on
Well,
cartridge?
yeah, exactly.
What's
Why
that?
have
Let's
tape?
use
I
this
don't know
shitty
why.
technology
I think
that
it
takes
might have
15
been
minutes
something
to
to
load.
do with. I think it might have been something to do with the amount of data that could be stored on a cartridge at the time.
Yeah. Just the
because
fact that
all
anyone...
all of your bigger games and multi-load games and things like that were always on cassette or later floppy disk. The simpler games, smaller games, seem to be on the or available to get on cassette cartridge.
Right.
So yeah.
Well,
Anyway,
let's
there you
fast forward a little bit to the 80s. To the Commodore.
go. That was the 80s, you smartass.
So yeah, this was about this is for me. Alter Beast. It turns 30. It was the Nintendo era. It was the Sega era. What were some of the games that brings you back? Listeners as well. Let us know your thoughts on what were your nostalgic 80s and early 90s games on the Nintendos and the Segas that brings you back. So like I said, for me, the first games that I actually originally the first game I played was at a friend's house, and it was a Nintendo, and I'm pretty sure it was Duck Hunt. I only wanted the Nintendo because of the gun, and then I got a Sega because my parents didn't want
That's
me to
what
have
me
a gun.
such a long time to work out how that technology worked. How you would shoot at the screen and it knew where you were shooting. Just think about it. It's like, how the fuck? It's like that's like some sort of alien technology.
Oh, well, okay, when you're under the age of 10, probably.
Well, think about it. It's like you shoot at the screen, it knows where you're shooting. That's pretty weird.
Well,
The screen doesn't have any sensors on it. So how the fuck does it know?
oh, you've just blown my mind.
Yeah, so you don't even know. You don't even know.
Because there's no.
I can't even remember now.
I mean, these days you need a Xbox Connect on the top of your TV to know where you're
exactly.
doing something. But they had that sorted out.
It would, if you remember, the screen would like flash.
Yeah,
and it was something to do with the flashing. That's all I know.
Right. Okay.
But honestly, I can't remember. So it's still unknown alien technology that they had.
What about Desert Storm?
Yeah,
Alex
sick
Kidd.
game.
Alex Kidd.
My brother used to play that a lot. Wonder Boy. And Hang On. Hang On was another one that was...
Well, see, I had Super Hang On. I'm assuming Hang On is the same as Super Hang On, but
what
just
year
not
was
Super.
Outrun. There's another one, Outrun.
What about Road Rash?
car game.
Was that a little bit later?
Yes.
That was
nice.
the motorcycle.
That was great where you hit
Smashing
the cops with like a chain and like knock them off their bikes or steal their clubs and stuff. That was pretty great.
It's a beautiful time. It was so... One thing that was...
That Road Rash game reminded me of Double Dragon with the picking up the chains and the baseball bats and stuff, even though it completely
and the
didn't have
the single frame animation when you would kick, it would just be like either kicking or not kicking. There's no...
There's no need. There's no need.
Yeah.
There's no knee movement. What about Streets of Rage? Did you guys ever play that one?
Yeah, that was like... I love that game.
Dragon's Lair?
Play that one.
Dragon's Lair?
Dragon Slayer?
Lair.
Oh,
Dragon's
Lair?
Oh, did I say Lair?
Dragon's Lair.
Lair, like
Dragon's
Lair.
Lair. Yes, I played Dragon. Dragon's Lair was on the Commodore 64, man. That's an old game.
Jeez, good times. When games were fun. But you know, actually, when we were looking at this, and we looked on YouTube to get the Altered Beast theme songs, and we see speedrunners doing Altered Beast in like 6 minutes. And I saw one video of a speedrun of 6 minutes 30. I'm like, I do not know how that was possible. I grew up thinking or remembering that game took forever. Because there also wasn't a time...
It doesn't actually take that long to get to the end.
No, it doesn't. But it felt like a long time. Because there also wasn't really saves back then.
No, games were much harder.
Different
Much harder. And they were brutal and they were unforgiving. And it's like, if you fuck up, you fuck up. And you lose everything. And you got to start from the start.
Back to the beginning.
That's actually another thing on Dead Cells. Like, you fuck up, you go back to the beginning. Just throwing that out there.
Well, basing it on Altered Beast.
You can kind of go, fight a boss, die, and then you go back to the very start, lose all your shit, start again.
Think
It's also Dead Cells.
Think about
Anyway.
Altered Beast being like that was like a AAA game back then. And I think games still cost, were they $60, $70 back then?
I don't know, mum and dad.
And literally, you could play for like, there's only really probably like 20 to 30 minutes of gameplay. Like once you go through all the levels.
Yeah, I think in like hindsight, there was like nothing in it.
No, it's not a big game.
So that's the thing.
There was only like 5 worlds or something, I think. That's it.
Yeah, and
each world would be like a few minutes.
We need to confirm that. Like those games back then in the 80s and the 90s, were they $60, $70 games? And right now, I could pay the same amount on a game and go, I need at least 40 hours.
You complain if the game's 20 hours.
I
You'd be
know.
like, this is fucking ridiculous. I've been ripped off. And it's like, fuck, try
I'm
being in the
fairly
80s.
certain Last Ninja, I reckon, had a lot of content in it, but there were a lot of levels. The whole series 1, 2, 3, 4.
One game.
Yeah, so just...
you could probably now, looking back at it, you could probably run through the levels fairly quickly. But there was...
I've just Googled it.
I'd say more than 20 minutes worth of content, though. Speaking on, just on a side tangent on that, System 3, the software company that made Last Ninja and a lot of other cool Commodore 64 games, remaking Last Ninja for modern day tech, which will be very interesting to check out when that comes around.
Not for me.
Very excited about that, to be honest.
I just Googled it. Like NES games cost an average of between $45 to $60 back in the 80s, which is what they cost now.
What was the currency rate back then?
It's probably about the same.
Probably about the same.
Yeah, 80 whatever, 80 cents. So $80 or something.
I really probably
for a game that lasts for half an hour.
I probably should reconsider my 30-40 hour minimum mark then.
Yeah, come a long way.
I mean, getting so much more game for the same price.
And then SNES games went as high as $70 to $80.
One game I'd really love to see, like one thing that on the app stores that Sega have been doing over the last year is every sort of 5-6 weeks, they've got this Sega Forever campaign where they sort of release these old games. One I'm always looking out for because I really enjoyed it, but I could never finish it. It was one of my sort of first experience into like a role playing game. Was Buck Rogers and the Countdown to Doomsday.
I never played that.
I don't think it was a well known game, but it was like a top down. You have view where it's got space battles, and you've got six. Your team of 6, and you've got one's a medic and one's the soldier and one's the engineer and all this type. But they all have different abilities, and you've got to At the time was if you were boarding spaceships, you could because you go into space battles and you'd be able to target certain areas of the spaceship when you're attacking it and go, I want to shoot the engine to knock it out, because if the engines are knocked out, I can board it. And then it was my first experience of going, you'd be in the cockpit and you see the spaceship and all that shit. And then you actually knock it out and then you can actually board it. The next thing you see is your team back to the top down view of your team of 6 boarding the ship, and you're running through this other enemy ship, killing all their people and taking their loot, then going back to it was blew my mind at the time.
What year was this?
So now we know why you're hung up on Star
2013.
No, I don't think it was. You don't know why I'm hung up on Star Citizen, but I mean, it was that. It was
that was the initial seed.
I'll need to find this for you. And another one very similar was actually one of Naughty Dog's. You might first games or early games. You might know Naughty Dog from The Last of Us.
Yeah, I know
Crash
them.
Bandicoot.
Yeah, Crash Bandicoot.
Was the Rings of Power. Oh. And one of the things back in the day, to get cheat codes and things like that, you buy like a magazine and it'd give you all the cheat codes and write up. Yeah, there was actually like this code. I don't know how I came across it because I don't know how it was in a magazine, but there was when Naughty Dog would at the start, you power it up, and there'd be this this girl shows up. And it's like Naughty Dog, type of thing. There was a code you can put in that when she shows up and when you power it up, she's got no top on. And it's just like tits.
Sweet.
I'm like, I vividly remember
just
that.
What every adolescent boy needs.
Exactly. And I have no idea how I found that code because there was no internet.
Yeah.
This is before, I think this is when the internet was around.
It was written on the back of the toilet at school, wasn't it?
Another thing that really blew my mind in a particular X-Men game? This is on the Sega Mega Drive. It blew my mind because you got to the end of the level and you get this code about, power off your console. And I was like, it's just a black screen that says power off your console. And then I was like, what the fuck? And it took me forever to figure it out. It took me weeks. And I was like, fuck this. I got over it because I wouldn't get past this particular level. And this was at a time when there was no save points. You have to do level by level. And this was getting towards the end game. And then I realized if you actually reset the game and put it back on, the actual game would load up in a different screen and give you the new level. So you had to actually power off the Sega Mega Drive to get to the next level. So instead of when you power up a Sega Mega, Sega, whacked my microphone arms down there.
Excited.
Totally am. I'm getting very sort of animated. I'm getting very animated now. So you power up the Sega and, you get the white screen with the blue dashes and that type of thing. It would actually come up with a different screen with a whole bunch of code. And I was like, what the fuck?
I'm in the Matrix.
What the fuck is going on? and you'd actually get to the next level. Yeah. It's I never knew that, and it pissed me off because I couldn't get past that.
The main code I remember from my childhood is getting the blood code for Mortal Kombat.
Oh.
And Mum said I couldn't do it, and then I would just do it anyway. And I remember she came in and saw there was blood and took the whole fucking console off me. And I was banned from gaming for a month. It was horrible. And it's who cares? It's just
you're still banned from it, aren't you? You haven't got your console back.
I had to move out.
Exactly. I know I was 9, but time to be a man.
Yeah, time to go.
I needed to see the heads being ripped off. All right.
That's all Mortal Kombat's about.
Anyway, let us know. Jump onto Facebook, jump onto Twitter. Let us know what were your fond gaming memories of the 80s and the 90s if you're someone in your 30s and 40s. Because
what if someone's listening and they're 20 and they're like, do you remember...
And you missed out.
Xbox 360?
Yeah, fuck off. Yeah, you missed out.
We don't want to hear from you.
Yeah.
No, it's fine. No, that's your memory.
PlayStation 1.
No, okay. You're fair enough. If that's your memory, what were your early memories? What got you into gaming? Were you part of the golden area or were you the... Area. I've had a couple of drinks now. My tongue's starting to go.
I was going to say that's a special level in the game, the golden area.
Or did you miss out? In which case, we're sorry. You missed it.
Yeah, but Grax might think that of us, though. because we're like, Mega Drive is like new, or like that
He's
was our
like,
childhood. And he's like,
fucking
fuck, I was.
VHS in a Commodore 64.
He's like, I was 30 by the time that was done.
half of the games you guys had on Mega 64 and the Amiga.
All right, so next up, we have the Control Record quiz. Now, at the moment, we're still working out logistics, so Grax has been very kind to be the quiz master again, primarily because Brett and I are sitting in the same room. So if one of us were giving the questions, very difficult with lag and latency for the other person to have a fair advantage. So we're still working out the logistics of that. But so thank you, Grax.
No props.
Let's get into the
I will
quiz.
apologise in advance that one or two of these questions may be a rehash from last year, but I don't think
that's
you
okay.
remember.
We've had enough alcohol between then and now to not remember.
Perhaps. All right, are you guys ready? Are we
What's
just going to jump straight into it?
the theme?
It's, there is a loose theme of retro / older games, so that's
Good.
the
Not too old.
that is the theme. No, not too old.
Not too old.
I've taken out all the Commodore 64 questions
Good,
whilst
'cause
you
I'd
guys
be
were
fucked.
talking, because clearly you have no fucking
No.
idea.
Yeah, we don't.
You didn't even know about cartridges. You guys suck.
I know about them. I just
Anyway,
didn't know
Not
how
what
they
a
were
cartridge
used.
is. All right.
I know of them.
How many questions have we
Uh-huh.
got now that you've taken some out?
I have got 10, so I will save one of them. Maybe we'll see how we're going. If it gets to a tie, we'll use the 10th one. If
do
someone's
it.
clearly in front,
go.
we'll use the 10th one. Whatever. All right, you guys ready?
Yep.
Yep.
You sure?
Ready
Pretty
as
sure.
well to be.
Okay. Question 1. In the game Metal Gear Solid,
Ooh.
who is the twin brother of Solid
Chris.
Snake?
I fucking know that.
Chris.
Liquid Snake.
Yes.
You're
Should
gonna
that be struck off? Because I don't play that game, so I feel like that's unfair.
Okay. Well, I'm pretty sure.
I didn't think you would agree with that. You're like, yeah, actually. Yeah, fuck
I'm
that
pretty
question.
sure you played this next question.
All right.
So, in a certain video game, what is the name of the princess whom Mario
Brett.
repeatedly stops? Brett.
Peach
Yes.
Repeatedly stops. What was the end of that question?
stops Bowser from...
Bowser from kidnapping. Oh, I was going to just say the name of the character and not have princess in the question, but whatever.
As soon as you said princess, I was
Okay,
like,
good.
wait for the word Mario.
Yeah, exactly.
Bang,
Wait
straight
for
on.
like
I thought it was going to be that, but I thought it might. I thought it might have been a trick question.
It was going to be wait for Mario, wait for Link. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
That's pretty much it.
yeah.
Fair
There's
enough.
probably other
All right,
princesses in
question
games.
3. So we got one all,
Not that I
one
can recall.
question.
1 all.
Each.
Yeah.
Question 3. What is the name of Sonic the Hedgehog's sidekick?
Chris. Oh, you fuck.
Well, actually,
Oh,
there's
that
two.
was
There's
Brett.
Tails and there's also Knuckles.
I'm,
That could be. It's probably Tails would be generally considered his sidekick.
Does he have another name?
Miles.
Tails is
Chris.
right.
Miles.
Oh, I already. I was still answering. Tails. It's yeah.
I mean, it's Tails.
Yeah,
but
Miles Tails. Yeah,
His full name and there's a Miles in there.
yeah. It's Tails.
Yeah.
And Knuckles,
Cool.
he's an add-on. Tails.
No,
is-
Knuckles
That's
comes into it.
He is, but he came like after Sonic.
He's kind of a dick though.
Yeah.
Like he's not. Maybe he's not a sidekick.
Okay, so Brett's in the lead with 2.
I think you've asked that one before. That's one of the rehash ones.
He did say at
Potentially.
the
Potentially.
start.
Yeah,
But
I
I know
know
you
you
both
did.
played
I
it.
know,
I know
I
you
know.
both played it, so I figured it was fair.
I'm just bringing it.
Here's
to,
a new and improved one, and this you
Okay.
both may fail. I think you're going to guess.
All right.
How many rows of aliens are there
Was this in
at
Space
the
Invaders?
start of a Space Invaders game?
Chris,
I don't fucking know.
8.
Chris. No.
Oh,
Brett.
Brett. I'm gonna go 7.
No.
No, you said at the start, so it's got to be a lower number.
5.
What is it? 5? Really?
If you could like
Five rows of
visualize
aliens.
Brett when he's going the do, he's like got his hand,
Yeah,
and
I was
he's
like,
going from left to
yeah,
right.
you
going,
can't see it.
I thought he
Yeah.
was actually counting for a second.
No, I
there,
was
but-
just doing what they do.
Okay, so we still we're
2-1.
locked with Brett on 2, Chris on 1, and we've got another number question. How many square blocks is in each game piece composed of what?
What?
That's weird. Sorry, let me start that again.
Oh, okay, that wasn't the question.
How many
It's
square
surreal.
blocks is each game piece composed of in the game Tetris?
Brett. 4.
Brett.
4.
4 is correct, my friend.
Yes.
Well done.
Brett
was a good
streaking into the lead now.
I feel
3 to
that,
1.
I feel that was a good question.
That's good, yeah. Because you had to kind of think and go, yeah.
I'm like, oh, the shapes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
it was a
Yeah, they kind of do.
I was thinking of the L's
Very
and
good.
the little T thing. Yeah.
Okay. Question number 6. In the game Doom, which planet
Chris.
is the Space Marine post?
I think that was Chris.
Chris
Oh,
was
yeah,
first on
yeah.
that.
Mars.
Correct, Chris.
I thought it was Phobos.
Mounting a comeback.
I thought it was the moon.
It was always Mars.
That was no.
Are you sure that's right?
Yeah.
I thought it was on the moon. It's on one of the moons of Mars. At least one of the chapters was, anyway.
Yeah, it's
I
later.
think you'll find that's
Doom 2,
fucking-
maybe.
I'm going to look
Okay,
it up.
so still Brett in the lead with 3. Chris
3-2.
close behind.
How many
on
questions
2.
we got left?
We have got 4 if we need them.
Oh, okay, cool. All right, we got some comeback time.
Okay, question number 7. Which PlayStation 2 game, released in 2003, was banned by several countries
Chris.
and
Oh, you
implicated by the media?
That was Brett.
Chris.
No, that was Brett. I think Lag may have played in there, but Brett did
what-
get in before me.
Well, I'm not even sure, actually. It's like, is it Manhunt?
It is Manhunt.
Oh, okay. I'm glad I didn't answer because I was going to do something different.
Oh,
Grand Theft Auto.
What were you going to say, Chris? No,
Grand
yes.
Theft Auto.
Hey, we have to rehash. I just want to show you something. Original Doom. Doom's action takes place on Phobos and Deimos, the 2 moons of Mars. So I'm claiming that question. It's not Mars.
I
It's the
said
moons.
planet. I said planet, not moon.
But you can't. Well, then you could say what? It's not set on Mars though. That doesn't. The question's wrong then.
Perhaps it is.
Like if something was set on the moon, you're not
Well,
going to
no,
say.
okay.
If you said what planet, it's the fucking moon. It's not set on Earth. is it?
What's the question?
So what you're saying is you want to get
No, I'm just saying that's not right.
No, what's the question? Go back.
It says it is
Question
generally.
I've got here is in the game Doom, what planet is the Space Marine posted to after assaulting his commanding officer?
Well, then your question
you
is-
didn't let me finish it.
Okay. Go on.
Phobos is definitely a area where the part of the game takes place.
Read that.
That's right.
Just read that out.
Okay, yeah.
Where is he posted
But
to
where is he
after
posted?
assaulting his commanding officer?
It's generally assumed the setting of the game is on Mars, but in fact, none of the events take place on the planet. So, and that's from the actual official Wikia.
Providing the wiki is correct.
Okay. We can scrap it. Chris can drop back to 1 point. I don't mind.
I think you should get a negative.
Negative.
Well, yeah. But
Hang on, I'll give myself a negative. Is that
sorry
what
for being so pedantic, but Doom's like one of my.
I mean, look, at
that's
the
one
end
of
of
my
the
games.
day, if it's Phobos, then we've
Yeah.
all learned something today.
Well, I haven't because I knew
Absolutely.
it was.
That's the whole point of it. So.
All right.
That's like
No.
that's like if I asked a question about Conan and it was wrong, you'd just be like, "Fuck off," because you know it's right.
yeah. In which
you know
game
what
did Sylvester Stallone take on the role?
I mean? It was actually on Schwarzenegger.
That was Rambo.
Or was it?
Yeah.
That was the joke.
Oh,
I know it was.
Sorry, I
oh
see.
my God.
Oh, God. All right. I've had a couple as well.
That was the joke.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
So, do
Sorry,
you want to
yeah.
end the quiz there?
No, let's keep going. Well, what's the score now?
Alrighty.
If I
It'd be 3-1.
It is,
If we
Brett
scrap that, it'll be
4,
3-1.
Chris,
I'll keep
2.
going. I want to hear the question.
All right, 4-2. We'll go with
Yeah.
that.
Question number 8. Slade, Reese, Jericho, and Roland Kane are all characters in which game?
Chris. I'm going to say WWE.
No.
Oh, I was thinking Chris Jericho. Okay.
I have no idea. I don't even know what that is.
No idea?
Slade.
The
No.
answer is Turok.
Oh, really?
Oh, no way I was getting that one. My next thing was
You
Resident.
said T-Rex or something, and I'd get it maybe.
Oh, the T-Rex.
No,
the
no,
dinosaur
no,
game.
T-Rex. Slade, Reese, Jericho, and Roland Kane.
All right, so it's 4-2. How many questions are left?
2 left.
Oh, so it could
So
be drawn.
you could tie it if you get these next
Tie
2 right. And then we're finishing at a tiebreaker. Okay, question number 9. Which 1986 Nintendo game is set in the fantasy land of Hyrule?
Chris.
Brett.
Chris got that.
It would be The Legend of Zelda.
That is correct, Chris. Very good. So, Last question. If you get this right, it ends in a draw, and you can have a point each. I don't care.
No, it doesn't work that way.
I'm not giving you a tiebreaker. So you better be fast, Brett.
All right.
The Covenant.
Chris.
RF.
Halo.
Fuck.
There you go. There's your tie, ladies and gentlemen. Congratulations. Playing.
That's pretty good. You're pretty quick off the mark there.
Question.
Covenant, yeah, had to be Halo.
Yeah.
It's like
It couldn't be anything else.
No, it couldn't be. Couldn't be. All right,
Unless it was like Indiana Jones because the Ark of the Covenant in that.
But this is
Ark
video
of the
games.
Covenant, yeah.
Yeah, I know, but I'm sure there's an Indiana Jones game.
there is,
Back in
there
the
is.
80s. There
There
probably
is.
is.
Like, we've covered retro games a couple of times, so it's getting harder and harder to find questions.
I think you need to because Chris always jumps in too early.
No, because
you could easily write trick questions. Like,
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Look at Brad thinking about a game plan right now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The Covenant was a
Next
thing
time.
in not this video game.
Yeah, in which game from?
But there was a
1980?
boulder in Space Invasion.
Yeah, you could do it.
You could probably quite easily. Oh shit! All right, look at that.
You just say Blizzard, and he's like, "Wow, World of Warcraft." And you're like, "No, there's a game that has a Blizzard in it that
Yeah.
came out in 1988."
that is also relates to the Snowdrop engine. So that was the Division.
Yeah,
Anyway,
sure.
So, right. Well, look, we'll make this last little bit
Yeah.
very quick because how long have we been going for now? Well over time.
Well over an hour.
Well over an hour.
That's
Hour
okay.
and 5.
You want to
not too
argue
bad.
with the quizmaster? It's going to take time.
Yeah. So there is a game that actually released on the 1st of August on Steam. Early access. I will stress that, early access. I've only put in a very little amount of time, but I do want to bring it to your attention because I know for one, Grax, you are a fan of the survival genre. You are currently playing Conan Exiles and put a bit of time into Ark. So, this might be something you might be interested in. But for anyone else, if you're into that survival, crafting, gathering, constructing type game, this one might be for you. Now, I'm not giving a sort of thumbs up or thumbs down at the moment, but like I said, 'cause I want to put in some more time. But part of it really did interest me. Now, it's a game called Rend. Hit early access on Steam on the 1st of August. Rend is actually a hybrid survival game that summons players to align with one of 3 factions. So you've got, when you actually start your game, each faction has a maximum of 20 players each, and you join one. You actually get dropped into a sort of a triangle-shaped map, and each faction holds one corner of it, and in the middle is a giant golden tree. Still got to work out what the golden tree is for, so that's one of those things that I'm still working on. Part of that is, okay, you go to your particular, I think the different colors are purple, green, and yellow. I think they were. I could be wrong about the yellow. But you go to your respective corner, and actually what you're doing is you start working together with the other 19 people in your faction to craft and to level up your skills and things like that, and actually defend your base against monsters and other players. Now, this is a particular survival game that actually has an end goal. And what you're actually trying to do throughout the map as you continue to explore and you go dungeon diving and things like that, you're actually trying to collect spirit orbs of some kind. And you actually need about 100,000 of those to win the match. So it's a survival game with a competitive end goal that every faction is trying to achieve. And every time you collect a particular, one of these orbs, they get stored in your base, which means other players can come and attack them and steal your orbs for their faction and ultimately trying to get them to win. But you do need 100,000, and it's not expected that one person goes and collects 100,000. You've got a team of 20 trying to do the same as they're out exploring. There's skill trees involved. There's classes involved. There's like a hunter, a rogue, a shaman, and a spellcaster. I can't remember what it was. So, but as you grow in strength and grow in skill, you can begin to specialize in particular crafting to better your faction. So, for example, I could be a leather maker. Brett, you could be a mason, and Grax, you could be a blacksmith. And if you focus on those, you actually get better and more efficient at it, because every time you craft something, you have the chance to actually instead of getting a normal item, you get a special item out of it. So if you specialize in that, you can begin to, Grax, you're the one out there creating the swords for us or the bows, and I'm the one creating the armor, and, Brett's working on the defenses. And your base is actually surrounded by a particular force field, which is actually up most of the time from what I gather. But the only time it comes down is there's a thing called the Reckoning, which is very similar to, I think, the Purge in Conan of Exiles, where at a particular time of the week, It can be set however you want it, but I believe on the official servers it's twice a week for 1 hour. The first 15 minutes of that hour, your shields will drop. You actually get attacked by monsters, and your goal is to defend your base through turrets and attacking and catapults and whatever other means they've got actually in the game. And after that first 15 minutes, you're actually then still 45 minutes without a shield, which leaves you open for other players to mount particular attacks against you. Now, however that ends up is really comes down to, do you actually have a diplomatic approach with maybe one of the other, factions, and you want to, gang up on the third one, or do you double cross that particular faction as you attack and you have someone else go in and attack their base on while over their attention somewhere else? So there's actually a lot of sort of MMORPG cross hybrid of a survival game mechanics in there. And although it's in early access, it's actually really well running at the moment. One of the things that you may notice, it has a very cartoony feel to it. Now, probably part of that comes from the developers, Frostkeep Studios, were actually all sort of a group of people who met working for Blizzard. So, I don't know, Blizzard, Frostkeep.
Now the truth comes out. This is why you're on it, huh?
Yeah, this is why.
This could be why it's attracted to me, because it has that sort of, I guess, cartoony, Blizzardy feel to it. But they've all worked on the original vanilla World of Warcraft. They've all worked on Overwatch. They've worked on things like League of Legends. And so they have quite a bit of experience behind them. So still very early days right now. Very early days. So I want to give it a bit more time before I sort of, and I'll continue to play it and come back to you guys to let you know what my thoughts are. But if you're interested, have a look at it on Steam, Rend, and see what you think. Might be up your alley.
$29.99 US dollars at the moment.
Thanks, Grax. You just read my mind. I was literally about to ask that.
Sorry, how much was it? Did you say? I know. $29.99. That was a $30 game.
How much is it you bought?
Yeah, I know. I just.
Chris doesn't even look at the cost. He saw Blizzard and he's like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
It'll be like $200, $300. Doesn't care.
Fine. It's all good. So anyway, I thought that was kind of cool. It's running quite well for an early access game. So maybe go and have a look at it if you're into that sort of survival genre, but want a bit of a mix of MMO sort of style gameplay thrown in there as well. That's all I wanted to say.
Sounds interesting.
Right. I think that's all we have for this week. We good?
Yeah.
We're done?
Yep.
I think we're good.
10.
Yeah.
Hour 10. All right. Awesome. Well, look, thank you so much for listening. Please jump on to iTunes, give us a review, give us a rating. We always love to hear from you. And jump onto Twitter and Facebook. And thank you for those who have actually emailed us with sort of messages of, support and wanting to know when the next one's coming out. So we really appreciate you guys having a chat with us. Keep that up. We love it. But that's it for now.
Yes, thank you.
And we'll see you again next week.
Bye.
See yous.